In this session, we will examine the world as it should be, the world as God designed it to be, and particularly the systems that God designed for our social situation as the building blocks for the creation and the maintenance of the Shalom community. But in order to do that, if you're a Westerner watching this video, I have to ask you to do something that may seem very strange, and that is, I would ask you to take off your Western glasses and to put on an entirely different set of glasses to perceive reality. Because the Bible wasn't written by Americans. It was not written by Europeans. It was written by a Middle Eastern people coming out of Asia and from a very Asian perspective. The problem is that when we read the Bible as Americans, as Westerners, as Europeans. And therefore, we miss much of what that Bible is actually saying. Westerners, and those churches that have been deeply influenced by the Western missionary movement in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, tend to read the Bible with individualistic eyes, and thus they miss some of the great richness of the Bible. What we are going to need to do, if we're going to really understand the biblical message, is for us to learn to read the Bible with corporate eyes, with a corporate dimension. That's what we're going to be doing in our time together here. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to do the social analysis that runs throughout the warp and woof of the Bible. It's all over the place in the Bible if you have eyes to see them. So let him who has ears hear. Let him who has eyes see what the Spirit would say to us.
We have to attend to how the Bible itself speaks about this. In other words, if you read Deuteronomy and you read Exodus, you hear God saying all of the time, remember that you were slaves in Egypt. And when you encounter a foreigner, you need to remember what it was like to be in that place.
Wow. Exactly.
You encounter a widow. So in other words, the Bible is saying God shaped people with a certain location, social certain location in slavery, so that when they encountered the other, like the oppressed, they would say, oh, I remember what that was like. You get all of this data. You have the slave passage, you have the slave laws, you have Paul stuff, and you have to say, well, then what is God's will as I read the entire canon for his people to treat the oppressed? And then you got to ask yourself this question, and I talk about it all of the time. It's either the Lord of the Rings theology or canonical theology. The Lord of the Rings theology is the one verse to rule them all. You have one verse, you ignore the rest of the canon, or you say, what is the message that emerges as I read the entirety of the Bible? As I read the entirety of the Bible, I say, God created a people who have a disposition towards freedom.
Right.